It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is the Cosmick Voice. Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmick Voice. This is Season 6, Episode 24. I am here with the New York Post-approved Chris Natalini.
What is up, everyone?
And I am Mick Michaels. Welcome back, everyone, to another show. Chris,
Mick,
how are you?
Doing fantastic, my brother. I'm doing very well. How are you?
I am fantastic. I have noticed that your Facebook page says mentioned in the New York Post or something like that, or
yes, it does, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, because why not?
I think it's like the second or third one down from the top, and then you have co-host and co-host. Now you got to get one of those blue check marks.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
Oh, man. I tell you, you'll milk it for the next 2-3 years. That's a reality star to you.
I was at a show last night, and the guitar player for the band I went to see came up to me. He was like, hey, man, he just bought like this new CD player or whatever. And he was like, hey, guess what the first CD was? And I was like, what? And he was like, Dawn of Correction.
There you go,
like,
man.
Nice.
You go.
Nice, man. Nice.
So I was sent some info about support spots for a band, or I thought they were a band, and I'm like, I don't know who this person is. I can't even tell you who the person was even now. And I'm like, I don't understand. I go, what is this? So I reach out to my daughter and go, by chance, would you know who this is? And she goes, I don't know, Dad. I think it's one of those reality stars that have decided to be a DJ and go touring. She goes, it's a big deal now. Like some of these reality stars, they don't really have talent, but they try to be a DJ. And I go, and they do a tour? They go from club to club just playing other people's music? She goes, yeah. And I'm like, What? And then they're trying to get support bands for that? I'm like, that's crazy. So I guess you should start your DJ tour now. When Black Sabbath did their comeback, that 13 album or whatever, and they started touring, they had a DJ open up. It was that guy, I forget, he had like that hit in the early 2000s. I can't remember, WCK or what was this, or something, I don't know, CK something or...
Oh, CK, was it CKY?
Yeah, CK, or maybe that was
yeah.
It. I don't
know.
But he just played a bunch of classic metal songs, DJing it, on his big, like, he was on this gigantic Peter Criss drum riser, like, 85 feet in the air with the DJ table and stuff. And I'm saying, I've never DJ'd in terms of, like, with turntables and all this stuff. Have I changed albums at a party? Well, yeah, so then maybe I've had some DJ experience, but I've never decided to take it on tour.
Well, listen, I think Metallica did it one year, too. I think it was the year that Jim Breuer was on tour with them doing his little comedy thing. I think it was a DJ, and then Jim Breuer, and then Metallica. Listen, I would totally do a tour and just play music. The problem is, I'm going to be playing bands like
nobody ever heard of.
I'll be playing all my friends' bands.
Oh my God! I mean, yeah, I'm baffled by that. That. I mean, to me, that's almost as odd. Not odd. And again, I realize you can get anything really to work, but when I seen Kiss and they had that artist opening up for him, playing rock music and stuff. And again, I guess it's cool because, whatever image he did, and I think he did a couple images, if I remember, the first time I seen Kiss on the End of the Road. They either auctioned them off or they donated them to a charity, and every show was a different charity. So they raised money or something like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So,
that's cool.
To me, that's cool. But, I mean, you think about, like, the guys that are asked to do that, that's amazing. Who wouldn't do it, right? You just said it. Who wouldn't do it?
Please, who wouldn't do it? Damn right.
But everybody then at the same time goes, like, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
As artists ourselves, as
Right,
guys that are
right.
trying to find a gig locally, and then you got a DJ who's opening up for an international band. It's like, am I missing something here? Maybe I should do less. You know? I mean, you got cover bands, tribute bands, and then DJs that spin other people's music.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when they pull more than local originals into a venue, you know we're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Let me ask you a question. When you saw that artist, I mean, obviously it is a cool thing, but how was that watching this artist on this huge stage? Because it's really just one guy, whatever he's painting. So how did that translate to the crowd? Like, was the crowd into it? Did he get a good reception? Like, what was the reaction to what he was doing?
If you see a lot of opening acts that people don't know, it's empty. And people are still, standing in line, buying food, whatever. I mean, I watched him, one, because I have an artistic background, so it was kind of interesting. They usually do it upside down or in a different way so that it throws people off. So the big reveal is, what is this until the very end?
What is it? Right.
So I'm watching it, but I kept turning to my wife and going, if you tried this in the 80s, early 90s, people would have been like, you would have been thrown off the tour. It's not the greatest thing. I recently seen Rick Springfield and REO Speedwagon, and they had an opening act that was primarily acoustic, and I guess, not being familiar with them, and I can't tell you who it was, they did a mix of some cover songs and I guess their own material. They only played for about 20, 25 minutes.
Wow, really?
Yeah. When you play in one of those arena areas, everybody's all over the place, so it's spread out.
Yeah.
And you go, the seats are empty. Well, yeah, because you're standing in this gigantic thing, but I'm sure there were several hundred people watching them because most of the arena was packed, where the merch was or the beer line or the food, I never even really went in myself because I was standing in line. I guess it's time filler, so the people getting their money's worth. Is it still giving some artists the opportunity? It could be a money thing. It could be a let's try something different. It could be a lot of different things. And like I said, with the artist guy, with Kiss, they were doing the whole charity thing.
Right.
That artist, in the long run, wound up getting a better response than when David Lee Roth was on board with them. So I guess they knew what they were doing.
You're right. Do you think something like that would work better on the concourse? Because these are big stadiums. So, you put a guy like that, I can understand where there would be that. I'm sure a guy, let's just take the artist, for example, like that's hard to translate when you're on this big stage away from, all these people. And I'm sure people are into it and that's cool as hell. But would it have worked better or translated better if he was on the concourse? Like just kind of, because I've been to like sports games here at the Wells Fargo here in Philly. And, sometimes they'll put a cover band on the concourse and, that's a really cool thing. It's a cool little vibe. Do you think the artist would have worked better on the concourse, with people buying food and merch, like being there kind of painting, than, say, the huge big stage?
I think
because you lose that connection, right?
You do lose that connection. There is that. I mean, they are pumping the music, and the guy. Some of these guys have a little shtick. They're dancing around the way they throw.
Oh,
their
okay, all right.
Like
so it's a show. So it's not just some guy sitting at a canvas.
Yeah. But that that's actually a really cool idea. Actually, with some of that concourse, some of them are huge. That you had 2 or 3 guys out there, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like if you were going to do this whole inside the electric circus type of thing, that would be kind of neat. And I think that we did this one year, like back in 2015 or 16. We played a local venue and we had a comedian open up the night. And he only did maybe about 20, 25 minutes. One of the band members knew somebody that knew a guy that was trying to be a comedian. So we figured this way it warms up the crowd a little bit. And I could see comedians. I mean, that's become something over the years that's worked really well. But could you do an artist at a local venue? Think about it. Like, definitely does not translate the same way. And then you'd have cleanup and you'd have, it just wouldn't work. And I don't think most venues would even want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Although I think that there may be, and as you know too, like, performing live and being in a band, sometimes you do these shows and everything works, right? Like the vibe's good, the bands are good, everybody's in a great mood. So something like that may work in that kind of atmosphere. If the vibe's cool and everybody's in a great mood and the show's doing well, and like an artist like that may work. But I think probably 9 out of 10 times, no, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, having 3 or 4 bands on the bill that are local doesn't seem to work anymore. So, but then again, maybe having a bunch of clowns juggling could work. Like, I mean, as bands now, as we need to come up with something different. Because bands alone, and this is terrible to say, especially being in a band, I'm seeing it firsthand across the board. Bands alone aren't doing it.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately,
the music itself is not enough to draw people to get out of their house and spend several hours.
It's true, man. It's true.
The people will complain about the door price. They'll complain about the parking because a lot of venues don't have parking, and it's such a deterrent. Like, you know, especially some of these venues that are in the older regions of towns. They're a very nice venue. They've got so much legacy to them, but there's absolutely no parking. And then the local municipality is charging an arm and a leg for parking. So if you're going to go see a $10 show, and may I add that anything less than $10 brings us back to what prices were in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, where local shows were $3, $5.
Yeah.
Where you could go down to the Spectrum in 85. Now, again, I know I'm dating things and things change, but you could go see Rat for $13.
Yeah, man.
You know
I have a ticket for Van Halen for $17, $18. That was the 1984 tour. They were at their height.
Listen, everybody got paid back then, and those bands are the bands that have the big money, like the big money, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, everybody wants a piece of everything, and then nobody's left with anything.
You know, it's funny sometimes, and it's true, too, because there have been times where, you know, we'll get booked on a gig and I'll sell it to people just like what you said. Oh, man, it's a great venue, plenty of parking, it's cheap to get in, like they have food, or you could bring food, like whatever. Like I have to sell it more than just going, hey, man, my band's playing Saturday night at such and such a place.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I got to add to it to try to get people interested. And I don't want to sound like people aren't interested, but it's hard to get people to.
Well, they're not. I mean, it has nothing to do with your music. It has nothing to do with your talent. And so you're not downgrading anything. The truth is, people are not interested enough to get up off their rear end and go to shows and go support local bands. And the same people that come to the show and they complain about this and that and this and that. And listen, and some of it's justifiable. I'm not saying that it's not.
Oh, yeah. No, some of it is. For sure.
But then they're the ones that are also saying, well, you got to support local bands and you got to do this and you got to do that. But then nobody wants to pay the entrance fee. Oh, I know the band and I know this and I'm friends with so-and-so. And, well, hey, listen, I get it. I do get it. But sometimes that just isn't possible. It just isn't possible.
Yeah. I pay for any show I've ever done. Any show I've ever done. Whether it be good nationals, I always pay for my wife. Always. Even I've done shows in Brooklyn where, you know, I've been working with the promoter for years and he goes, no, you don't have to pay for Sherry. And I go, no, I'm giving you money for Sherry. And then if he refuses, then Sherry will buy him a drink. I know where that money goes, so I make sure I pay for her all the time. You know, to me, like, it doesn't matter. But here's the thing too, Mick, you and I just did a show, no door guy. We didn't know that, but still no door guy, right? So it was free to get in.
Yeah, I mean, we even lowered we had lowered the price. We even lowered the price because we were advertising. Hey, we just slashed it down to $5. Plenty of parking. You know, 3 bands. We kept it a decent timed show, so you weren't getting out of there at 1:30 in the morning. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like an adult show. Then we're hit with that, and it was like, who can you trust if the venue isn't going to take care of it, and then we have to be responsible for the age thing? Well, that's not our responsibility. We're there to put on the show, not to run the who's coming in and out, and so that the bar's protected. All the bands agreed, hey, we don't care about the money. Everybody comes in for free. There you go.
Yeah, that's it. And I was at a show at the time of recording this. I was at a show last night, same thing, same bar, no cover door, nobody came. I mean, it's just... You know, it's just, I don't know. I don't know anymore, man. You know, I mean, again, plenty of parking, easy to get to. It's not in a bad area, you know, and I mean, they have food, they serve food. So I don't know. It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. But I mean, we're in 2024 local music. This is what it is.
Hey, listen, maybe having painters, comedians, and clowns, oh my, would be the way to go. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's crazy.
Maybe I'll try it.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah. When I do shows, that's how I have to sell it. You know, plenty of parking. They have food, or you can bring food in. Sometimes I sell it on the people. I'm like, oh, the bartenders are awesome, and the owner's a great person. And it's like, my God, like I can't just sell my band that I'm playing. Like it's got to be, I got to go into a whole rigmarole just to get people there. You know,
you got to create reasons, eliminate any doubt, and none of that has to do with the music. None of it.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
It is a shame. It is a shame.
I mean, I know that the premise of this show is to discuss and to relay experiences that we have in the business and how we've learned from them, we've bettered ourselves from them, we've become successful from them, or, you know, and missteps. But it seems though we do nothing but complain anymore, but it's not really complaints per se. It's just two guys, in my opinion, just kind of venting about what's happening. And literally, by us doing this, we're throwing around ideas that could or could not work. And to reiterate that, okay, a lot of bands, a lot of artists are trying the same model. They really are coming up with alternative ways to try to get people to the show, whether it's, again, 2024, as Chris pointed out, and we're still charging the same as it was in 1986. Like, think about that. So bands aren't making any money. They never really were, per se.
Yeah.
But I've met plenty of people that have a hard time giving money or paying money to somebody that they know. There's that stigma about it. Even if they're coming to a show, but they'll give it to a stranger. Now, listen, I'm not saying that your friends and family have to support your band. And to some degree, I think that that's a bad model to work from because they're still using it today. Like if you're writing a book or you're starting some pyramid scheme, you know, you jumped into Amway, or you started a band and you got on board Afton or something like that. They'll all tell you the first thing is everyone in your band, let them sell to their family and friends. There you should be able to pick up this amount of money. It don't work like that, man. No. It doesn't. Maybe if you're a brand new band, your first time out, you'll get this big crowd because everybody wants to see you. They're excited about it.
Yeah.
Over the course of the next 5 shows, those numbers start decreasing relatively fast. Within that first year, you're back down to crickets and coyotes, right? Yeah. Those young kid bands, they usually pack the house. It's like selling Girl Scout cookies, right?
Yeah.
The parents are selling these things. Check out my kid, 13, and so the place is packed with grandmas, Annie M's, Wicked Witches of the West, and then as soon as that set's done, and you're the next band, and you're at 11, and here comes the boom. They're out the door faster than,
Right. It's true.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
So, but that dies out after time, too.
It does. Yes, it does.
Because they're not really, look at little Sally. She's such a great, let me get picture, click, 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 click. Look at this beast with a beard coming in. He's ready to tear out. He's going to cut you and gut you. And then he tell you, God bless you at the end of the night. So my point is you see what I'm saying? So now bands have to come up with some other thing. So you can't follow that model. You can't expect your family and friends to keep supporting you. You can't. Mine don't. And I don't expect them to. And I don't ask them to. Right? At the end of the day, you're trying to create new fans. You're trying to connect with fans.
It's Russ the Boss.
Take it down. This is Stephen Pearson from Rat, the Rat Bastard. You're listening to the Cosmick Voice.
I just played a show last night. It was several hours away. It was actually much further than I realized. But, hey, listen, that happens at my age. You want to do that show? Yeah, okay, sure, why not? You know what I mean? And then you're driving and you're going, man, who booked this show? Oh, I agreed to it. Anyway, there was a guy there who had caught us by accident at another show. Not by accident per se, but he didn't plan to come see us. He came to see another band.
Right.
He became enamored with us. And then we were just so happened on a bill again with this other band. Man, he bought merch, more merch. It was great. I mean, again, so there's that Natalini model, one fan at a time.
That's it, man.
And to me, that was like complete success for the night.
Yeah.
Complete success for the night, Made that 25-hour drive perfect. So you know how that goes.
I do, man. It's tough, bro. And and going back to what you just said a couple minutes ago, like, I don't necessarily think that. I mean, it may come off as negativity, but I think the idea of the show, was to always kind of tell our experiences. And honestly, these are our experiences, good or bad. So, I think it's good to show that as much as we sit on here and go, oh my God, this is great, and these were great times, and, we laugh about it, there's also, that other side of it, that things aren't always peachy keen and, great crowds. And, because even some of the bad shows we've talked about on the show, we've laughed about. But, in this day and age, you're starting to see, I don't want to say decline, because that's not really the right word, but the way the industry is changing, and it's rapidly changing, and it's not for the artist. It never really was, but I feel like now it's just getting worse and worse. I was just at a show the other night, the venue, which is a killer venue. I love going there. Unfortunately, it's kind of far away, so we don't make it there a lot. But the venue has a side ticket. You buy a ticket, but then there's also this add-on charge where you get like this VIP seating. Bro, there's not a bad seat in the house. Like, you're promising people a chair at a bar. Like, what? Are you kidding me? So they're charging extra money to sit at a bar in a place that doesn't have a bad seat, and people are paying it. And I'm like, this is insane. I looked at my wife, I'm like, this is literally insane to me that people are paying this upcharge. I understand if you pay upcharge at like a big stadium, like here in our area, there's the the Camden Waterfront Stadium, whatever, it's $10 for a chair. Okay, like that don't bother me. But like, I'm in a bar and it's just a big bar that you're saying, hey man, I could sell you this chair. It's like buying a plane ticket. I could sell you this chair for better seating for X amount of dollars. And I'm like, all right, what? Like, because they had a little thing roped off and you show your little ticket that you bought this VIP seating. I'm like, oh my God, it's really gotten bad, man. They will upcharge anything they can, dude. And it's amazing to me. It's amazing.
They talked about getting rid of the physical tickets, and everybody was saying, well, because of COVID, cashless, it's become so you don't have to really interact. You could just scan a card or whatever. So they've done the same thing with tickets. They said to eliminate the passing
I hate it.
But it's not.
I hate it.
What it is it's an opportunity to add on all these fees.
Yes.
That, we didn't have these fees before. And there is an option for some shows to get a physical ticket as memorabilia, as like something, and that's an extra charge. So it's like if you want physical tickets, it's $15 extra on top of all the other taxes and fees, and of course the face value of the ticket. I'm not even sure why they give you a face value anymore, because it's never the face value. You can't get face value anywhere.
No.
There's 18 different fees. And then if you want parking, now if you want to be part of the pre-party, and it doesn't get you anything, it just gets you into the place. You still got to, you don't get a free drink, you don't get chips on the side, somebody doesn't come and smack you in the back of the head. If you want that, you got to pay for all that.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, but here's the thing, like you said, people are paying it. And if people continue to pay it, because everybody wants to feel special and important, they're going to keep doing it, and guess what, peeps? They're going to keep adding on to it. Yeah. Hey, you want your shoes shined? Here's another $2. Hey, you want to be able to wear pants inside? Here's another thing. It's crazy.
It's true. And listen, like, I understand these, especially like these older bands and older people go to these shows. They want a chair. They don't want to stand all night. And I get that part of it. I really do. But to charge people for it, like, that's insane to me. So, and they know that people will pay for it because, hey, I have a bad back, I have bad legs, or, it's a lot for me to stand for 3 or 4 hours. I totally understand that. I really do. But you're going to charge people for it? What happened to the old days where you just come super early and you wait in line and then you get the best seat in the house? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I really don't.
Well, again, it's a model that's working for them, and the
more
more they can get out of it, the more they can pocket. Let other people pay the way. I get it. Yep. I mean, I understand it. And like we said, people are paying for it. You don't need 100% of people to pay for it. It's never like that.
No.
You need a certain percentage, and that covers everything else.
Yeah. And it's not going to the bands. It's going to the venue.
It's right. It's right. None of that is going to the bands. None of that is going to the bands.
Right.
Barely anything ever goes to the bands, even what's promised them.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but yes.
Yeah, true.
And
nothing's going to the artists.
Go back to what we were talking about just a little bit ago. If your show's $10, but then parking is $20, as of midnight you got to get out of there because it's the Cinderella effect.
Yeah.
And then beers are, I don't even know what beers are, but you're paying $7, $8 a drink.
Yep.
And then you wonder why people won't buy merch for a local band. You're already $100 into the game.
Yep.
You want to eat and had to pay tolls, gas. It's an expensive night just to go see a local band. And people are like, well, why should I go do that? Why should I go do it?
I think the one thing with that, too, is people are picking and choosing because everything's so expensive and, people are struggling. So they pick and choose. So they'll go see their favorite band, the next big concert, at the arena or the amphitheater. Those tickets say $100 and then babysitter, parking, dinner, it's a night out. So you're like, you go see, insert your favorite artist here. It's easy, a $500 night, tickets included, with dinner and parking and everything. And if you want to buy merch. And so, that $500 night turns into, well, we're doing this next Saturday. So we're not going to go to these local shows because, we're spending money here. And I get that too. I totally understand, man. It's tough. It's tough.
These legacy bands, and by that I mean like Journey and Styx and REO Speedwagon, they're still packing houses. Again, I seen Rick Springfield and REO Speedwagon at an arena. The place was packed, Chris. It was like the Spectrum.
Yeah.
And you're looking around going, neither of these acts have had a hit since 86.
Yeah.
You know what I like about old people shows? Nobody stands up, and I don't have to stand up, and I can enjoy the show. It's great. Oh, I love it. It's fantastic.
Old people shows.
Old people shows. I love it. I'm going to continue going to them. But what I'm saying is full-blown stages, the whole bit. People are going crazy. They're doing it. You got bands that are on the charts right now, and they got a tour with 5 or 6 other bands just to pack the house. And they're not playing these places.
No. Nope.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Or they're playing little theaters.
Yeah.
And talking smack. You know what I'm saying? Again, Rick Springfield, 74. Kevin Cronin, he's 72. These guys are prancing around like they're... Rick Springfield's still tearing off his shirt. I'm saying, oh, my God. 'Cause, I'm tired after the first number, and you ain't getting nothing torn off of me. It's like, holy moly. He's going back out again with Richard Marx, and then REO Speedwagon will jump on with Styx, and then Journey. And so those places are being packed because people go, this may be the last time I get to see them.
That's right. That's 100%.
Right? So there's that whole mentality now that, I may miss out on seeing this artist. So if you go to the numbers, besides like, say Metallica and Taylor Swift, you're seeing a huge uptick in these bands that haven't had a hit. Look, just recently of the recording of this episode, Journey's Don't Stop Believin' was just rated the greatest song of all time or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So you don't think that this summer when they hit the road, more's going to, come on, like, oh, I got to see this. I got to see this. And it's a mishmash of members now, but people are going to go see them.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's so true, dude. It's so true. So true. It's crazy times.
They're getting better shows. They're getting songs that they know, that they're familiar with, from at least the artists that, in most cases, there's 1 or 2 members that were there at some point, as opposed to there's some bands out there that are touring that have absolutely no members that were even born during that time. So
Yeah,
it is what it is.
You are listening to the Cosmick Voice with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
All right, people, let's get to the topic of the show. And this week's topic is why be in a band? Why be in a band? Well, as I said to Christopher last night, I've been asking myself that for 4 years, and I still don't have an answer. So hopefully this episode will provide one. So, Chris... Why be in a band?
We definitely started this podcast off with a great question.
That's right. We just answered the question, why not be in a band?
We really did. We really did. Man, when we talked about doing this show, like I had been kind of thinking about it off and on. And we've talked about it before. I've said it before. This is all I've ever wanted to do. And it's hard to explain to somebody how being in a band makes you feel. Especially as I've gotten older, I've appreciated the creativity process way more than I have in the past. I try to enjoy every aspect of it. Obviously, I think it's probably for most of us. There's, at least in my genre, a good portion of guys in my genre of musicians, they're pretty okay with, just recording and putting stuff out, not really playing live. I get that too, because I understand the creativity of it. But for me, it's always been about playing live. I love playing live. I love going to shows. Like, I just love live music, live original music. So for me, it's all I've ever wanted was just to be in a band and be able to do these things and this creative outlet. I've said it before on the show, like, when, God forbid, when my days are over doing this, I mean, I'm going to do as long as I can, but when my days are over, like, I don't know what I want to do. I've already warned my wife, like, I don't, I'm going to be a monster because I'm going to miss it. I'm going to have a lot of free time, but I'm just going to miss it because I love the creative process. I love the brother sisterhood of it. I love the playing live, and I love traveling. I love looking forward to a show and hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. And, we come on here and we complain and we talk about things that aren't that great. But at the end of the day, like, it's super funny to me when I can make friends with my jokes going, oh yeah, I just played a place where there's no sound guy and no cover charge. Like I said earlier in the show, like, I went to see friends of mine last night and at the same place. They were going through the same thing, and we had a good laugh about it. They're the times that I really enjoy being in a band. And why be in a band? I don't know why. I don't necessarily know. And you may have a different outlook on this. I don't know if there's a why for me, because for me, it's just all I've ever wanted. I don't know why. I just enjoy music. Like, I have music on all the time. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Music is playing. It's how I am. It's how I'm wired. So I don't know if there is an answer to why. For me, anyway, it's just, I just enjoy being in a band. Again, it's what I've wanted. It's always what I've wanted to do. And I love doing it. And I love every aspect of it, bad or good. And, of course, I love it better when it's good, but, it is what it is. But I think we said on, I don't know if it was the last podcast or one of the recent ones, at the end of the day, when we're gone, when we've left this earth and our souls are wherever you believe they go, like, you and I and a bunch of other people, our voice and our guitars and our lyrics and all this stuff, they'll be forever on something. They're recorded, and that recording is forever until the earth disappears. We don't really know what happens when we're gone, but anybody at any time when you and I, God forbid, are gone, hopefully it's a very long time from now, our family, they could put in something and go, this was so-and-so, this was his guitar playing, this was his lead, this was his his lyrics, this was his voice, or whatever. And I think that's really cool, because there's not much in this world that you could do that to, right? Like, you can build big buildings and have projects at work, and you get that sense of accomplishment when it's done. Will that always be around? I don't know. It's hard, it's hard for me to say. Maybe like big buildings, but even in this day and age, we've seen big buildings being torn down for better real estate, or because maybe it wasn't made correctly. So, a lot of things aren't around forever, but recordings that come out that are available, they're around forever. Even releases that you really are hard to find, somebody has them somewhere, and that's kind of awesome, because not everything is forever. But I believe that in a way, like, when you're recorded on something, and especially now, like, especially this day and age, you and I could search out music from the 30s and the 40s, and you could find it if you search hard enough, and that's pretty cool, man. That's awesome. So when we're gone, anybody can hear our voices and anything we've created, for the rest of their lives. And there's really not much that really takes that place. Buildings can be torn down, projects can be changed, but music is, when it's recorded music, it's forever. So I don't know. I don't know if there is a why. It's just something that it's really hard to explain to people what being a musician or being in a band is like to people that aren't. Like, some people get it, but I don't know if everybody does. So that's a really hard thing to answer. How about you? Why for you?
Well, I agree. I think it's a hard thing to explain to someone who does not play music. They wonder why you go through all this. And I mean, again, I've asked myself that too. But to go back, music was always like a sanctuary for me. And that's actually one of the reasons why I used the term sanctuary in my band's name, because it is a corner of a sanctuary, right, for people to lose themselves or think about things or become the person that they want to be. And I felt empowered by music. And I was always drawn to music. Growing up, there was always music on in some capacity. So like you, it becomes part of kind of like what makes you tick.
Yeah.
But I had this thing, I wanted to be in a band. There was just something about it. There was something tangible and not tangible at the same time, right? It was kind of hidden inside and outside. So it was just something that I thought that would really resonate well with me. And it did, right out of the gate. I'm an introvert to begin with. I usually shy away from just getting myself involved with people and conversations and social things like that. And music was a way for me to work around that. And I'm a creative. You know, you learn that early on, that you like to create things. Like I was always doing something artistic growing up. Music seemed to be a fantastic extension to that. So being able to do music, extending that into not just making noise, but to create songs, to be a songwriter, that is what really then got me hooked. Like that I could go from nothing to this idea to some kind of sound that made sense, that resonated with other people. Does that make sense to you?
100%. 100%. You know, one of those things is that you had really touched on was you and I can have this idea or something strikes us in a way that we want to build on, whether it's a story, whether it's a few words, and we're able to build on that. We're able to create that. You know what I mean? Like we could see something or hear something. You with, you know, being the main songwriter and guitar player, like you could hear a melody in your head and actually put it down and it becomes something, even if it doesn't equal exactly what you had originally thought. But we get the chance to come up with these ideas and see them all the way through. And it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may be years from now. I know you write plenty of songs, and some of those songs may not come out for you guys till years later. But it starts, and we can create on that, whether it be a riff or a melody or a lyric, and those become something. You know, we all know what it's like to do a home project or get something accomplished, and the amount of pride that you feel. Well, just imagine the amount of pride that we musicians feel when we come up with something so small and it becomes a 4 or 5 minute song, or, you know, whatever. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Definitely an empowerment. Like you were saying, being in a band is not the same thing as being in the music industry. It's two different things. Completely.
2 different things.
Two different things.
Yep.
You know, writing material, creating material is completely different than being in the music industry. It's a whole different beast. It's night and day. So don't get the two confused, because oftentimes we question ourselves, and I've been asked, like, if you're having all these problems, why do you continue to do it? I continue to do it because I'm connected or hooked to the creative process. Taking something from nothing, then you have something. And like you said, you have something and it's always there.
Yep.
Even if it doesn't exist anywhere else, it exists in your mind and you're able to play it to some degree. Now, thankfully, we're in a time where you can record stuff and you can have it in different formats. You know, I mean, I have material that I recorded, some of it's been released, and I haven't played it in 10 years. But it's still there. And if I need to relearn it, I could just listen to it. It's still there. Right?
Yep.
Early on, I wasn't thinking about longevity, legacy, catalog, none of that stuff. It was just that, hey, we write the song, we play the song. Write the song, play the song. You know, all this kind of stuff. But over time, part of that creative process for me is to getting pen to paper, is getting that material down to something so that I have it. So that it's forever, whatever forever is. If the world blows up, it doesn't make a difference what we did. But the point is, you know, when I was 13, 14, 15, and we're playing, and nobody thought about longevity. We lived in the moment. We've talked about this on the show before. We literally lived in the moment. And, you know, that saying, you'll see it on social medias, the last time you did this. You never knew this was the last time you did. Well, listen, when you're that age, you don't think of that. When you're this age, you go, oh, boy. So you start taking an appreciation. It's like, you know what? That's part of the excitement.
Yeah.
Content is king. I love the creative process. I'm drawn to it. And I've said this on the show. I've said it to you personally. I say it to my band. I love creating music. I love writing music. I love playing music. I don't like all the other stuff now that I have to do. Because I didn't get into this for that. But unfortunately, if you're trying to build a career or whatnot, you have to kind of be involved in that to some degree. I guess you don't have to. You don't have to. You make that choice. But over the years, there's things that, and especially since, we've gotten back into the swing after COVID, there's things I realized, and we said it on the show, that I don't have to, who cares about that? Who cares about this?
Right.
Or,
Right.
It's that creative process. I am constantly drawn back to it over and over again. It's addictive in a sense. You take something that you have, there's nothing there, and then there's something there.
It's something, yeah.
And then that thing can then take a life of its own and continue to evolve. I've changed songs, re-recorded songs, brought songs back into the set, given them a new life, just changed this, changed that. It's amazing. Like we were talking before we went on air, we finally have changed the opening to our set. We found the song that for us seems to work, and it's amazing. But it happened organically when it was ready to happen rather than us forcing it to happen.
Yes.
It's amazed us. Like we didn't expect it. We didn't write the song for this. It was just, hey, this is another song for the upcoming EP. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're writing as it happens, not with the purpose of, oh, this song has to be the opening song. Well, no, we're being as honest as we can, and now look what that honesty did for us. Yeah. And it's paying off, right? And to me, that's even more exciting. And then I do love playing out more than I ever have. Over the past 5-6 years, I've learned to appreciate it more and more. I used to stress out. Do I still stress out? Yeah, but not the same way. And usually it's not because of the music, it's because of all the other BS stuff, that you got to deal with. And sometimes then that takes away from the music. But what I've been trying to just get myself to focus all I can, every ounce of me, that when it's set time, it's set time. I don't care about anything else at that point.
Yeah,
so
that's what it has.
You're starting to appreciate, it's like, wow, this really does mean something to what we're doing.
Yeah.
None of that actually makes sense to a sane person, because they're like, well, you still drove 2 hours to a show and then 2 hours back. It's 4 hours of just travel for a 45-minute set. Why are you doing that? And then you go, I don't know. But, I mean, if you step back and you go logically, you're going, yeah, it doesn't make sense. I wouldn't do that for a job. I wouldn't do that for this. Or as your kids are growing up, you're like, well, why would you do that? You're not maximizing your time. Well, you're doing the same thing. So it's kind of weird. But I guess if you take out the live piece, you take out even the recording piece, there's still the creativity piece. And like you said, there are musicians that are content with just writing music, recording music, and that's it. They don't even want to rehearse, And then there's guys that don't want to record. They don't want to play out. They just want to jam in a band every couple weeks because it just kind of fulfills some need. But again, whatever that need is, it's very similar to the need to record. Because the need to record for me is not necessarily because I'm going to release it. Yes, that winds up happening because it fills a checkbox on the other side, on the business side.
Right.
When I stop the business, I doubt that I'm going to stop playing music. I'm just going to stop the business end of it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not a vegetarian or anything like that, but I have decreased the amount of red meat that I eat over the years simply because of stomach issues. But that doesn't mean that I've cut out protein or I stopped eating.
Right.
So it's the same thing. If I stop playing out, that doesn't mean that I've stopped writing music.
Right.
And if I stop recording, that doesn't mean... Think about it. You play your guitar. I'll just use guitar, okay? You play guitar. That doesn't mean that you have to write songs. Doesn't mean that you have to record songs. Doesn't mean that you play out. So you play guitar. But then the next thing is you play guitar and you write your own songs. Because there's plenty of guys that play guitar and don't write their own songs. They just play covers and they're content with it.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it.
Nope.
So you play guitar, you write your own songs. Doesn't mean you have to record them. Prince's dad in Purple Rain, he had it all in his head, but he was he was really lying though, but he wrote them down. Me, unfortunately, because I never did write them down, there's songs that I've lost forever.
Yep.
Because of age. When I was a kid, I could remember them. Didn't write that stuff down. Yeah. I knew a 30-set song list. I'm lucky I can get through 2 of them. Then there's the recording aspect, and then there's the live aspect. And then there's the releasing aspect. Just because you record doesn't mean you release. There's guys that
Right.
catalog stuff for their own sake. So there's so many compartments to it. It doesn't mean you have to have them all, but at the core of it is you play guitar and you enjoy playing guitar. And how you decide to push that to the next level, well, that's up to you. But it's a thing. It's a thing. It really is hard to explain. And you do step back with all this hassle and all this negativity surrounding what we do. Why be in a band? Maybe that's too generic because there's guys that don't want to be in bands. I knew a couple drummers. They were great drummers, but they had no interest in being in a band. They had a system at their house set up that they would just play along with their favorite Dream Theater album or Queensryche album. And they had kits like you wouldn't believe. Double bass, 15 toms, 7,500 cymbals, rack systems, Simmons electric kits. It was crazy, but they didn't tour anywhere. They didn't play with anybody. So there's a reason that people do it. And I think it's all internal. There's something that clicks with you mentally and spiritually that creates this thing that you can't get rid of. You can't shake that monkey.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And, honestly, like, there's nothing better than creating something from nothing. And then you get into a room and you sweat and you rehearse and you play and you change and you argue and you whatever for hours on end. Then it's done and completed. Then you get on stage to play it with hopefully people that you enjoy being with. And then those same people that hopefully you enjoy being with goes into the studio, records it, and it's done. And that is something that I think that's a really, really awesome thing to be a part of. When you can take something from nothing and ended up creating something with a bunch of people that you hopefully, again, like I said, you enjoy being around, make it into something that's something to be proud of. I mean, that's
absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, I think that's the payoff for something that you're hooked to.
Right.
And you get to connect with guys that are hooked to it too. And then you're gelling together. That's why not all bands work, right? The concept could work, but if you don't hook with the music, with what you're doing, and when you are lucky enough to get in a unit that's like that, it's pure magic. There's nothing, all of a sudden, all that bad stuff that we kind of complain about in the show, but it's content, right?
Yeah.
And the business end, all that goes away because it's like, this is why we're doing it. You look over at your bandmates, you look back at your drummer, that quick eye connection, there's that little smirk and that little twinkle. It's like, we just hit that. We just hit,
100%.
You know what I mean? It's the same emotion experienced differently, of course, because we're all individuals, but we were all aware of it. We all made that literally electric connection in that moment, in that second, in that chord. It just radiates off you. That's why we do it. That's why we do it. That's the fix. And I hate to use those terms to describe this, but that's what
that's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's a rush.
It's a rush. And even that has nothing to do with playing it live in front of people. It's it's that self-accomplishment, that self-empowerment, and now you're sharing it with your power force, so to speak.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. It's true, man. True.
What do you think, man? You got anything else you want to add that makes sense to regular people?
Hopefully people that do hear this, that, just casual listeners of the podcast because they like to hear about the industry or whatever, and they're not in bands, hopefully it makes sense. I don't know how else to explain it.
Listen, if you like it, do it. As long as it's not hurting you. As long as it's not hurting you or somebody else. We're talking about music here. You do it. Whatever your reasons are, and if they make you happy, again, if you're not hurting yourself or somebody else, then you do it.
Yep. Definitely.
If you like that episode, check out some of our other episodes at www.thecosmicvoice.com. Step into the Cosmic Verse and fill that void. Thanks so much for listening. This is the Cosmic Voice. Be sure to check us out at thecosmicvoice.com. Like and follow us on Facebook at The Cosmic Voice. You can find The Cosmic Voice everywhere you listen to online podcasts, like Deezer, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, and so many more.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, Mick and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes of The Cosmic Voice. And you can get in touch with us through thecosmicvoice.com and, of course, all of the Cosmic Voice social medias. Take care and be safe.
You're listening to The Cosmic Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business.